If I had to bet, if I knew that there were a completely transparent way of assessing the election and that only honest people were involved in analyzing it, I would bet that there was a massive amount of fraud. Would I bet that
I,
it was decisive? I am agnostic.
so you're not saying either way whether or
That's
not
correct.
you believe
No, I believe there was
there was a
massive
fix on it.
fraud. I don't know if it was decisive.
And have you ever believed this before about an American election?
Never.
Then why now?
Because I have read, and I will do it again. It's a completely fair. These are very fair questions you're asking, by the way. I wish I didn't. I said from the beginning, I wish that Joe Biden won, and I didn't have any doubts about the election, because having nothing to do with Joe Biden or Donald Trump, if in fact it is possible to subvert elections in the United States of America, our future is very dark. So I was against the mailing of tens of millions of ballots to people who never requested them from the beginning. I thought that that was an invitation to mistakes at best and fraud at worst. Do you support mailing tens of millions of ballots to people who never requested them?
For people who are registered voters, what is the harm, Dennis?
The harm is that it's unregulated. It's not nearly as regulated as if they request a ballot for an absentee ballot or go to the polls. I mean, we would all have to acknowledge that if one did wish to be corrupt, it is a much easier way to have tens of millions of ballots that have not been requested than otherwise. Do you think it's healthy to send ballots out a month and a half before Election Day?
I have no reason to think it wouldn't be.
Do you think that sending them 3 months before Election Day is unhealthy?
I voted by
No. Please answer me. I've
Absentee.
answered you to the best of my ability. I'm not trying to trap you. I want to know how you're thinking. Do you think, is there a point where you think it would render elections a farce if we sent ballots that early? Name me the amount of time.
I don't know, Dennis. I'm sorry.
So, okay, that's fine. As I said, I don't want to trap you. So you don't have, in other words, I'm going to make a silly one. Half a year before Election Day, ballots were sent out. Would you be against that, or you're agnostic?
I'm agnostic.
Okay. All right. Listen, thank you for calling, and I mean that sincerely. I try to treat people who differ with me as civilly as possible because I want to encourage that. So this is a wonderful moment of clarity. Even half a year before. It's like when I asked one of the most prominent Democrats of his era in this studio, is there any tax rate, man who was in charge of tax rates? He's one of the most powerful men I won't say his name because I don't want to embarrass him. One of the most powerful men in the United States House of Representatives. Is there any tax rate, income tax rate you think is too high? And he said, I just haven't given that thought. The man in the U.S. Congress in charge of tax rates. And I'm asking this fine caller, is there any time before an election that is too long before an election to send ballots out? And he's agnostic. It confirms for me that there is not a single left-wing position that has been thought through. It is all emotion. Not a single. There are liberal positions, there are conservative positions that are thought through, but not one left-wing position. Is it thought through to defund police? That's a left-wing position. Is that thought through? Is the lockdown thought through? I pray for traffic. When I drive to work each day here in Southern California, I pray for traffic. I wish people drove just to go on the road. Do anything you can to subvert the tyranny that exists in California by a fraud. He can go to a restaurant and get caught. They all do. It's Nancy Pelosi went to a hair salon without a mask. Dianne Feinstein found without a mask at the airport. But it's okay because the rich can tell the middle class die. That's what we have. That is the definition of lockdown in the United States of America circa the year 2020. You middle class business owners, drop dead. We will thrive. That is what it is about.